Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to week 3 of National Indigenous Peoples Month celebrations. Starting our week off today for our Lunch and Learn is the Indigenous Talent Acquisition team, who I'm very excited. We would consider them our cousins as they are doing so much work to help increase our Indigenous workforce retention and recruitment processes. So very, very happy to have 3 of our presenters with us today. Christine Traeger is the manager of the talent acquisition team focused on opening doors for underrepresented people at AHS. She's been with AHS for 7 years. Previous to moving back to Alberta, she worked in Saskatchewan in Indigenous training to employment programming, as well as in healthcare. Working in both provinces and maintaining connections created by the opportunity for AHS and the Saskatchewan Health Authority to collaborate and share Indigenous health and workforce activities through what is called Knowledge Sharing Days. A variety of opportunities took her on the unique path where she spent several years overseas for work, athletic, and personal adventures. Her last count concluded she had traveled and lived in more than 75 countries, if you can believe that, in her lifetime. She attributes her career success to being exposed to so many cultures, which made her realize that one, there are many ways to do the same job, which helps her to be able to be open to conversations about incorporating Indigenous ways and to the way we live and work. And two, we have an incredible diversity of Indigenous cultures that we in Canada need to respect and listen to. We also have Ivy Kim Scott, who's joining us and is from the Piikani Blackfoot Confederacy. In 2018, she joined AHS as a senior human resource advisor for Indigenous talent acquisition. With over 10 years of experience in HR and Indigenous recruitment, Ivy is pleased to utilize her skills in the important role of growing the Indigenous workforce at AHS. And last but certainly not least, we also have Leona Small, who brings over 11 years of community engagement advisor experience, including managing of appropriate relations with key local and regional stakeholders and communities on behalf of the oil and gas industry in Alberta and Northeast British Columbia. For the last 7 years, been working for Alberta Health Services. In 2018, Leona joined the talent acquisition team as an advisor specializing in Indigenous talent. She has piloted several successful endeavors at AHS that you will hear about in today's presentation. One of the current projects Leona is leading is the GPRH Indigenous Workforce Committee with the new Grand Prairie Hospital, which invites the 26 First Nations and Métis communities served by the QE2 hospital to collaborate regarding Indigenous workforce development. Leona is a Cree woman from Nose Creek, Alberta, and currently resides in Grand Prairie. English is a second language to Leona, and Cree is the first language. Leona is passionate about helping Indigenous people and working with various communities and helping with increasing the Indigenous talent pool at AHS. Leona loves to support the AHS internal staff as well as in bridging the gap between AHS and the Indigenous communities. And with that, I am very excited to turn it over to the three of you and take it away.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introductions, Nadine. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us today in celebration of Indigenous Peoples Month. We're honored to be here today to speak to you about some of the work that our team in talent acquisition is doing to attract more Indigenous people to careers at AHS. So we try to create opportunities through external partnerships, working internally to remove systemic obstacles that may prevent access to employment, and also working on building a foundation for AHS with regards to inclusive hiring practices. Although the team focused on Indigenous talent is only 2 people, our team of more than 40 people in talent acquisition helped move our work forward. So we're grateful to them. I'd also like to acknowledge Brian and Carolyn today, who are working behind the scenes, ensuring everything goes smoothly today for our presentation. In the background, you'll see I'm sharing my absolute favorite thing to do in the winter here. It's a sport called snow kiting. So I love harnessing nature to move. I love anything that does that with the wind or hills and things like that. So, all right, we'll move to the next slide. So today's topics, we're going to review AHS values and how they apply to our work. And We'll have an overview of our talent acquisition with regards to Indigenous talent. We're going to give you a sneak peek of our Indigenous applicants website. We're going to talk about some success stories as well, and other programming that supports, and we'll also go through what's we've adjusted as a result of COVID. And we would like to acknowledge that today we're presenting from across the province of Alberta, which are the territories of Treaty 6, 7, and 8, and Métis regions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, these territories are home to many Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, the Blackfoot, Tsuut'ina, Saulteaux or Ojibwe, Nakota Sioux, Chippewan or Dene, Inuit, and the Métis. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories, and we acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past. And we dedicate ourselves to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous people in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. In talent acquisition, we take seriously our responsibility under the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's call to action number 23 for all levels of government to 1, increase the number of Indigenous professionals working in the healthcare field, and 2, ensure the retention of Indigenous healthcare providers. Thank you. All right, so here are our values at AHS. I know most are probably internal, but for those external folks joining us today, we identify with all of these values, but in particular, we find importance in the value of respect in the work we do. We don't work with patients in talent acquisition, rather we work with job applicants. And it's really important for us to have respect for the different perspectives that they might bring and to listen to a variety of voices when we're developing our opportunities. The other value I'd like to highlight is safety. So many people think that that means physical safety, but that's of course very important. Cultural safety and psychological safety are more applicable to the work that we do. It's also important to acknowledge that some people have not felt culturally safe in our system, and AHS strives to improve the patient and the employee experience while we open our arms to an increased Indigenous workforce. With that, I'm going to pass it on to Ivy Kim Scott.
Oh, Ivy, I think you're on mute.
Usually I'm pretty good at that. I've been doing enough of these presentations that I should remember that by now. Okay, Nadanagoa Awagasiaki. Hello, my name is Dear Woman. My English name is Ivy Kim Scott. On behalf of my people, the Piikani Nation of the Blackfoot Confederacy, I bring greetings. I also wish to humbly thank you for taking the time to hear us today. It is an honor to share with you some of the activities we have been doing here at Alberta Health Services. I am a Senior Human Resources Advisor with Indigenous Talent Acquisition. I joined AHS in March of 2018 in support of its goal to create a workforce that reflects the community we live in. In that time, I have come to identify strongly with the relationship building aspect of my role. Relationships are integral to the success of our programs. Just as it takes many strands to form a length of braided hair or a bundle of sweetgrass, it takes numerous people to create a chain strong enough to support Indigenous hiring and success within AHS. For the purposes of this presentation, I have organized our engagement activities into 5 sections. The first is networking. Building strong networks is similar to preparing a garden for seed planting. We want good, healthy soil to begin. In our case, preparing healthy soil involves ongoing collaboration within AHS and in the community. Some examples of our internal networking activities include collaborating with the Indigenous Wellness Corps. Now, this involves ensuring Indigenous talent acquisition activities align with and support the Indigenous health strategy. We also participate in talking circles, and this helps us to gain a better understanding of how Indigenous communities experience healthcare services. Another thing we do is to provide AHS Indigenous employee conversations. And by inviting internal Indigenous staff to join Indigenous talent acquisition at career events, we often have great informal conversations about life at AHS and opportunities for improvement. We also have conversations with AHS hiring managers. By reaching out to hiring managers, this helps us to identify current and upcoming career opportunities. The next we have is growing the talent pool, which is similar to planting seeds in a garden. AHS has a wide variety of career options to choose from, and we feel the best time to share these options is when youth are still in junior and senior high school. Our goal is to introduce those health careers in a fun and informative way, one that will make an impact and get youth seriously thinking about health careers as an option. For instance, one of the best ways we have found has been to include departments like emergency medical services and most recently ESIM, which stands for Educate, Simulate, Innovate, Motivate. The ESIM team works with staff, physicians, and leaders across AHS to build their skills and experience. Their presence at career events is always well received. Now, this image is from day 2 of our Lethbridge Health Sciences Career Academy, which was hosted by Blood Tribe Department of Health, which I will speak to a little bit later in this presentation. Now, the events we usually attend fall into 3 categories. The first being secondary school career information fairs. For instance, Ochis Junior Senior High School and Get Ahead of Your Future Inspired Careers events for Métis youth. That was hosted by Rupert's Land Institute. The second is our post-secondary career fairs. Ones like the University of Alberta's Towwow and the University of Calgary Indigenous Career Fair. The third are community career fairs. Ones that we've attended are the Musqueam Fall Job Fair and Spring Fair, as well as the Alexander First Nation Career Fair. Now, other ways in which we are working to create health career awareness involve our supportive programming, where we partner with other organizations. Some examples include the Edmonton Health Sciences Career Academy for Indigenous Youth, which is held in partnership with Careers, the Next Generation, NATE, Norquest College, and the University of Alberta. It is a 4-day interactive, educational, and unique summer camp opportunity for Indigenous students interested in healthcare careers. Next, we have the Lethbridge Health Sciences Career Academy, which is similar to the Edmonton event. The last in-person one we held was in 2019, where students spent one of the days as guests of the Blood Tribe Department of Health, where they were treated to presentations on their harm reduction program, home care, and community health programs. And those were just to name a few. Other we have is Rupert's Land Institute Métis Summer Employment Placement Program, where we participate in their annual wage subsidy program. Now, this allows us to connect hiring managers with Métis secondary and post-secondary students who are interested in gaining experience working with AHS. Next, we have our external engagement activities. Now, these are all at various stages, but ones we are actively seeking to grow. At the community level, this involves engaging with First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people so that we can continue to develop productive relationships, all with the goal of introducing Indigenous student opportunities in healthcare. Some of those organizations fall under the following categories: Indigenous employment centers, Indigenous career centers, chief and councils, Métis local offices, secondary schools and boards, both on and off reserve, post-secondary schools, both on and off reserve, friendship centers, and tribal councils. Finally, we have our research activities, where we are currently evaluating our past actions as we look forward to support Alberta Health Services Indigenous recruitment and retention. Some of our future activities include identifying the needs of Indigenous communities as they relate to healthcare, identifying current and future career opportunities, along with the best way to communicate this information to Indigenous communities, organizing career conversations for Indigenous job seekers, where we walk participants through our application and hiring processes, and Indigenous recruitment training for hiring managers. Now, this brings me to the end of my portion of this presentation, and now I am going to pass it back to Christine.
Thank you so much, Ivy. Such a beautiful way to incorporate cultural items into the presentation. And I love the analogy of using healthy soil and plants to the growth of our workforce. So although we have a lot happening at AHS regarding welcoming Indigenous people, we realized that we haven't given the public much insight into what we do. Well, we're trying to change that. So we keep winning the top diversity employer, yet people can only get a glimpse of why when they search our website. So we're going to give you a sneak peek of our website. So we've also heard loud and clear from our partners in First Nations and Métis organizations and communities that AHS needs to do more to reach out to Indigenous people on its website. All right, so here we're going to show you the website. Click on the link. Okay, it didn't look like it was coming up. I'll give it one more try. Okay, well, it's just in a draft form right now. It looks like it's the real website, but it's actually not the real website. And so we're trying to welcome Indigenous applicants by giving them an entire section in our careers page. So when you click on the careers page at AHS, there's a number of drop-down choices that you get, and Indigenous applicants will now have their own. There's also a diversity and inclusion section, which will be a combination of talent acquisition activities and as well some of the anti-racism work that we're doing right now. And so I think that since we don't have the website up, I'm thinking that we could probably, if it comes up, if we're able to get it up, we could maybe just at the end of the presentation. And then we can just give people that sneak peek that we wanted to give them.
Hi, Christine, it's Carolyn.
Yes.
Just wondering, is it coming up on your screen? Because we are viewing Brian's. So we might need to switch to you sharing the screen.
I don't, let me just see here. It did work for me.
Okay, Nadine, can you make
Share my
Christine a co-host? And
Yeah, I
Brian,
just
if you can
did.
take your screen down, and then Christine, you can share your screen, and then maybe we can take a look at it.
Okay. All right. I need to just get this over. All right, so this is what it's going to look like. So people would click on it when they see the careers, and then one of the drop downs will say Indigenous applicants. It doesn't right now because this is just the test site. All right, so here's what it'll look like. So we introduce ourselves, and then we'll be featuring videos and stories, so, and also career profiles. So you can click on different career profiles and a link to our Indigenous health. Probably it'll be called Wellness Core once it's launched, code of conduct. And then we do have a few stories, which we're not going to review on this website because Leona is going to actually tell a few stories in just a moment about some of the work that we've been doing. So it'll just keep on growing and expanding as we gather more information and ideas on things to link to. So a lot of our programming, we actually don't advertise across the province because they're very localized and programs that work for the communities that we're working with. So, but we would like to continue to highlight things and show the world why AHS is a great employer. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And I'm going to pass it on to Leona.
So the presentation's not up yet. Dansi, Nia, Leona Chikasun. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leona Small, and I'm from Nose Creek, Alberta. I currently live in Grand Prairie, which is in territory in Treaty 8 territory in Métis Local Region 6. Sorry, I'm just I got a little stage fright here. I work as an HR advisor for AHS with the diversity and inclusion team under talent acquisition. I have the privilege of working with Ivy and Christine and many others. I'm going to talk about some of the programs that I've had the honor of working on with Indigenous partners. So one of them is with Western Cree Tribal Council, which is based in Grand Prairie. So in 2018, they approached us with an idea that would enable students that were interested in a healthcare focused career to gain some education experience. AHS was a proud partner in supportive of the Health Careers Training Program. So the program hosted students from Grand Prairie and the surrounding Indigenous communities, which is Sturgeon Lake, Cree Nation, Horse Lake First Nation, and Duncan First Nation. Participants were provided with life skills training designed to ensure a strong transition into the workforce. Students were then placed within AHS facilities of their work experience portion of the training program. Together, we worked on a program that would set up students for entry-level positions and have the opportunity to work in different departments in our hospitals in Grand Prairie and Valley View. So the picture that you see at the top right corner is one of the students that was part of the program. So her work experience was with the long-term care residents at the QE2, where she was able to put her past hairdressing experience to use. She was doing the residents' hair and brought a lot of laughter to the whole department. So everybody just loved her. The second program that I'll be talking about today is a partnership that we did with Alexander First Nation. We did a work experience and high school credit program with their students from that community. Alexander agreed to sponsor 5 students at AHS, and they were all placed at the Alberta Hospital Maintenance Department. This experience gave the students the opportunity to understand how AHS facility operates behind the scenes while gaining some valuable job skills for the future. Some of the students were offered casual roles after the program. They were able to work alongside journeyman trade employees, which gave them exposure to different careers that they may not have thought of having at a hospital. So typically when someone mentions hospital, they automatically think nurse or doctor. There are so many different career opportunities at AHS, such as HR, computer tech, lab, journeyman roles, such as plumbers, electricians, power engineers, just to name a few. So what made the program so successful was the coordinator that worked with the students at the community level, hammered into the students the importance of good work ethic, taking care of themselves so they were work ready, and she encouraged the students to talk about anything that might hinder them from showing up for work and encouraged them to communicate with the AHS coworkers that they were partnered up with. Having the support system for the students to ensure success and support for the employees that worked with the students from their leadership was what made it successful. The students really enjoyed their placements. They were partnered with employees that were passionate about mentoring youth, and it worked very well. So we hope to do more of these types of programs in the near future and partner up with other Indigenous communities. The other program that I'll talk about is with the Cooper's Land Summer Student Employment Program. Is one of our most successful programs that we've had here at AHS to date. So we are 3 years running the program now. Métis students gain valuable work experience and opportunities to experience healthcare as a potential career. Thanks to Alberta Health Services and its participation in the Summer Student Employment Program. So we've had students in the North Zone, Fairview, Peace River, Grimshaw, Manning, and this year we have Grand Prairie on board. So they'll be working at the new hospital that is slated to open here in the fall. We also have students at the Stollery Children's Hospital in Edmonton, and in the past we've had a nursing student at the Rocky View Hospital in Calgary. So we hope to expand the program even more in the next few years. For one of our Métis students, it gave the opportunity to see himself in a new light. Tristan spent the summers working at the Fairview Health Complex, so his role involved in site beautification, such as picking weeds, watering plants, trimming hedges, and general maintenance support. But over the course of the summer, he grew to work. He started working with the long-term care residents, sharing stories and boosting morale. So, which included him learning how to play crib. The residents really enjoyed having him there, and this year will be his third year with the program. He changed his career choice after doing the program. He was going to Olds College and taking his land reclamation. Halfway through the program, he realized that wasn't for him and decided to switch programs. He is now attending the GPRC and taking his master's in kinesiology. His dream is to open up an office in Fairview one day and work with the elderly. So this year we are hiring at the new hospital, as I mentioned earlier, and the student will be working with the manager there and in helping with the setup of the Indigenous cultural room. And so the student will be exposed to many different careers at the hospital, and will also be part of the preparation work that is going on to open the facility. So thank you so much for listening to me today. And now I'll pass it back to Christine, who will be talking more about some of the other programs that we have here at AHS.
Thanks so much, Leona. And you're such a wonderful storyteller, and I really feel your enthusiasm for the work that you do in your stories. I love hearing Tristan's story in particular because he actually changed paths as a result of his work experience at AHS. It's the most wonderful outcome that we could ever have imagined. So we're lucky to have both of you, Leona and Ivy, helping move this work forward for AHS as well. So, all right. So now we're going to talk about some things that programs that we have, as well as how we've adjusted as a result of COVID. So last year, of course, COVID really impacted everyone's ability to work, and it impacted our ability to pursue in-person programming. And we shifted many things online for a virtual experience. And although we can't wait to continue in-person experiences, we've shifted our health camp this year to online. Some of the opportunities that we were able to take advantage of as a result of COVID was we have access to more students in remote communities. So we don't normally go to career fairs all over the province. I mean, we can't attend them all. This has given us access to them. Also, internet access, I believe, has improved on a lot of communities as schools shifted online for many of them, etc. The health camps used to have a tuition fee, and now they are free for all participants. So we're able to pursue this for almost no cost. And then we also don't have any limits on the number of attendees to the health camps now. We used to sell out. Edmonton sold out in 5 minutes. I think Fort McMurray sold out in 2 minutes. So they're very popular. And of course, it's not the same experience. It's really good to do hands-on where they're able to, make casts and give stitches and things like that. They're getting a pretty good experience, I think, online. So if any attendees today are interested in receiving information directly about the health camps, our email address will be on the last slide, and you're welcome to email us, and we'll email the information directly. Another program that we continue despite COVID actually is NADC Joint Bursary Funding Program. It's a joint venture with the Alberta government, and we reserve $10,000 for Indigenous applicants. And there are 60,000 total that AHS gives towards this program. And of course, we do extensive advertising in First Nations communities for this, always hoping that there are even more applicants that we're able to give the funding to. The funding supports students during their studies, and the goal is to encourage the grads to choose positions in the rural north, which is where we experience the most recruitment challenges. Most health careers are considered for this funding. All right. So learning circles, like Ivy had mentioned the learning circles, and those unfortunately didn't continue as a result of COVID. And however, we continue to believe that they're a fantastic way to give students hands-on experience and exposure to the healing cycle, starting with the trip to the trip on the ambulance. We can't wait to continue these types of events, quite frankly. Career fairs have continued virtually, and we find we're able to attend more events now as a result of them being virtual. So that in-person presence, though, may resume soon, and we look forward to making those meaningful connections that we make at the career fairs as soon as they open up again. All right. And then I thought just in case we have some applicants online today, I thought I'd just quickly review the application process. So the first thing is that with most companies, you have to create this online profile. And then you have to search according to your location. And if you're open to other locations as far as work, then you might have to open up to a provincial search. And then you might have to scroll a little bit further through jobs that are not applicable to you, but you'll get all of them then. Then from there, after you create your profile, it's very easy to apply for positions. Usually you hear back within 10 days. However, right now we're finding some managers are taking a little bit longer to pursue the pre-screening process because COVID has thrown a little bit of a wrench into the, not a little bit, a big wrench into the operations of units. So be patient with us. It could take up to 20 days or so before you get contacted. And then we do have a careers FAQ sort of area where you can get answers to questions that you might have. All right. So we still have much work to do at AHS and in our department. And thankfully, we love what we do. And thanks for joining us today. And please don't hesitate to contact us if you have programming opportunities, requests for assistance, or just to introduce yourselves if you're a First Nations Métis partner. And regarding programming opportunities, that outreach goes to both internal operational areas and as well our external partners. And should you have any questions about the information that we presented today or simply want to chat, just email us at indigenous.talent@ahs.ca. And I believe that we have some questions that came up in the chat, and I saw one. I try not to look because it's distracting if I'm presenting, but I think that if there are operational areas that wish to talk about increasing their Indigenous talent, give us a call, because there's not just really a one-size-fits-all solution to that. And we can talk about what might work for your facility. So, do we have any questions?
Thank you so much, Ivy, Leona, and Christine. Amazing work and progress that you're making. I know within the Indigenous Wellness core commitments, you know, increasing our Indigenous workforce is definitely one of the commitments that we have made in there. So to see the strides that you're doing to help our Indigenous workforce is incredible. There are a few questions that came up. So one of them, it had related to the link for the Indigenous workforce, and it asked, do you require status or identification for as First Nation or Métis, or kind of how does that get monitored? Is it self-identification? So there was a question around there.
Okay, I'd be happy to address that. So at the moment, AHS does not have a self-identification method. We are working on that internally. However, my understanding of the way it will work, it will be once you're hired, then you have the option to self-identify. So we don't actually ask people to self-identify before. There is an exception to that, where if under the human rights legislation for Alberta, if a position is reserved only for Indigenous talent, we would ask people to self-identify on their resume or cover letter, so that, but it doesn't actually happen very often that we utilize that language to recruit someone specifically Indigenous, although we have used it.
Thank you. Thank you for the additional information. Another question is, if other departments want to encourage the recruitment of Indigenous employees, do they simply send you their job descriptions and then you link it to the Indigenous workforce link that you guys have, or kind of how does that work?
I would encourage any operational leaders to connect with their talent acquisition advisor, who will then connect with us And then we have, we help them sort of mostly in that circumstance, it would be in the background that we support the talent acquisition advisor if necessary. We also have a media and marketing team specifically. They are trained in and understand where to reach out to Indigenous communities. And also if operational leaders have specific ideas or thoughts on where they would like to market opportunities, they can certainly bring those forward. I hope that answers the question.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Does anyone else have any other questions? There's a number of comments just that they love the success stories. Way to go. Wonderful program. So empowering. So a lot of really great comments. Here's another question, a couple more questions that just came through. So will there also be opportunities through this website for students to register to come in and shadow employees?
Absolutely. Job shadows continue to be on hold right now, but we do have an active job shadowing program. We actually have thousands of people that do that right now. And however, in the job shadowing policy during a pandemic, we do put that on hold unless there are requirements of a program. Just keep an eye on our careers website and you'll see when we open up, then the opportunities will be there.
Great, thank you. And another question that was asking if you're working on post-secondary health internships, both clinical and non-clinical. So just are you in the works of that, or is that something that you'd be looking at?
Specifically for Indigenous?
Yes, they're asking specifically for Indigenous.
We are, so internships, I believe that there are some happening in EHS. However, we don't have an official internship program. Other than high school, we do a little bit of high school internships this year. But we're open to discussing. If there is a program that someone would like to suggest to us, we would be open to exploring that. However, it might require a little bit of time and timing actually to bring it forward to get an official program through AHS.
Great, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Feel free to come off mute, or if you want to continue to put it in the chat box, we're monitoring that as well. But if you want to come off mute, if you have any questions or comment, please feel free to do so.
Jamie, I was typing as you said that, and I thought, oh, I'll just come off mute. I have so many questions. First of all, I love this. I love this concept, having this all online and the links on our AHS Insight page. You had mentioned during your presentation that you're in collaboration as well with Rupert's Land.
Yes.
And oh, I'm sorry, I don't have my headset on. I don't know if you can even hear me.
Yeah,
I guess you can.
hear.
Oh, okay.
It's
So,
now.
okay, sorry about that. Oh my goodness. So I guess one thing I wanted to ask is, are you going to be providing any links? So if somebody wants to look at opportunities for employment or even for job shadowing, is there going to be connections you're going to make through these links to Rupert's Land as well, so students can see what opportunities they have available to them?
That's an excellent idea. We actually haven't pursued that. So it's something we'll mark down because Rupert's Land has access to the talent, and then we have the job opportunities. But perhaps there's an opportunity to work even more deeply together, where if people are unsure and they don't want to necessarily take a whole summer job, they just want to come in for one day and view someone, that perhaps we could start something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Jamie.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, Christina. It's
Oh, go
Carolyn.
ahead, Carolyn.
Just a quick question. I know there might be some nations where we have some agreements with. Is this going to be linked to some of those agreements that we might have with different communities?
We're hoping that employment will eventually be part of those agreements. I'm actually not aware, Carolyn, of any ones that have employment outcomes as part of the agreement, although it's something that I hope for. This is something they do very actively in Saskatchewan, and I'm hoping that we can incorporate that into our work at AHS.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops, excuse me.
No worries. Another message in the chat box that says, I would love to have musical entertainment in long-term care for residents. Do you know of any musical talent out there? As you know, our residents are seniors.
Well, the person that's on the screen right now is the one person that I know. She's even won, if I remember correctly, she's won a Juno. She's an Indigenous artist who does therapy, music therapy. I don't know what her range is of where she goes, but I believe it might be the Indigenous Wellness Corps, sorry to throw it back at you, that might know a little bit more about that subject.
Yeah, her name is Cheryl Sepegaham. She is a Little Red River Cree Nation member, and she was the first First Nation music therapist. So she's no longer with our program, but still very much, music is her passion. I think she's going back for her master's. I just saw an email from her just recently, but I know she is doing a presentation or a song for us. She did one at the opening ceremonies, and she's going to be doing another two actually tomorrow during the retirement session. So if you're able to join there, you might be able to connect with her and see if there's additional opportunities.
Thanks, Nadine.
So the next one, I was just asking again about your website. Where is that? And I think your email here, indigenous.talent@ahs.ca. But if you could just kind of navigate us through or share with us how to find the website.
Okay, it's not up yet, so that's probably why no one can find it. It probably will be in the next couple of weeks, I think. And if you just go to ahs.ca, careers is one of the sections, the main section. So if you click on careers, the Indigenous applicants section will be right there. However, right now you can't. So top secret.
So soon to come.
So soon to come. We just
will...
need to make sure that it's all, we've just really done all our due diligence to make sure that what's going up there is correct.
No, that's exciting. That's exciting that that's happening. And sorry, Shelly, she was just asking specifically for Cheryl. Shelly, if you want to send me an email, I can forward it to Cheryl because like I just I want to make sure that there's permission for that. But if you want to, we can pass it along. Great. Any other questions or comments?
Hi, it's Carolyn again. So I'm just wondering about links perhaps to the volunteer program. Do you work with volunteer services?
We have discussed that, as there is a talent pool there of people who are usually often looking to get into the health system. We don't have any official programming right now. Volunteer resources, as most people are aware, is a little bit decentralized. So it's difficult to like, we have to work with each zone and sometimes site with that, but that doesn't mean that it's not important work. So it is something that we've talked about though. It's a great way to access talent, and talent that's dedicated to. I'm going to write that down again. On it.
While you're writing that one down, another question. Are you guys on LinkedIn, or would it be possible to connect and share through other means? Just, I guess, yeah, kind of generally, what are your means of communication for reaching out as well?
We do have quite a social media presence. So there's the AHS Careers, and then we do have a LinkedIn careers area. Specifically for Indigenous talent, no, we don't. It is something, again, that we've talked about, hoping that it would be and Nadine and I have spoken about it, hoping it would be a joint venture, Indigenous Wellness Corps and Careers, so that we could share content. However, yeah, we haven't gotten to that either. A great thought of bringing that to the forefront too.
Thank you for these recommendations, suggestions, questions. It is something that we definitely is a work in progress, and we're just steadily trying to improve. But again, it's so great to hear all the advancements, even since the last time we chatted, of the great work that your team is doing.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really proud of what we are doing, and we hope to expand our capacity to be able to do it. So what we try to do is really streamline our programming as much as we can, so that we're not spending a lot of time administering it, and then we're able to expand as well. So as capacity allows. As well, the Rupert's Land program, nobody heard about it this year because the timelines were very tight, and I think COVID has really thrown a lot of things upside down. So the timelines were too tight to be able to do an AHS-wide communication. But normally, under normal circumstances, we probably would. But if you're interested, if anybody's interested in participating in the Rupert's Land program, taking a uni or any type of student for their areas, we welcome that any time of year. You don't have to wait for an invite.
Great, that's great to hear. Any other comments or questions? Oh, here's another one. Any subscriptions for updates like email, newsletters, things like that?
We don't have a newsletter, but I believe that, I'm trying to think, Indigenous specific, probably not. But if you like AHS careers on Facebook or whatever social media you utilize, you will get updates. And we're going to try to be, when things are open to the public, to do some advertising via that careers social media linkage and talk about them. The issue is that because they're so specific to the First Nations and Métis communities that are in the area, that there's nothing province-wide that we can really, well, there's some province-wide initiatives, but really it's mostly localized. So it's difficult because the AHS careers applies to everybody in the province. And so it's a balance of, giving too much information and giving people information that they're looking for. But I think that what we need to do is have a little bit more link on the careers area. Once our website is launched, we can, and we update things. There's nothing stopping us from putting it up on the careers, in the AHS careers, Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter.
Wonderful. Thank you. You're answering all our questions. Really, really great discussion. So we appreciate that we had the time to answer and find out more information.
Yeah, we're happy to be here today answering these questions and talking about what we do.
Great. Last call, I guess, if there's any others, just a while you're either putting some more questions in the chat box or if you want to come off mute, just a reminder as well that we encourage you to complete the evaluation short survey with your chance to win. We have 3 weekly draws that will occur during the highlights and closing prayer session at 1 p.m. on Fridays, as well as I'll put the link in for our webpage for events as we continue to get more activities that are occurring throughout the month. So even if you've already checked, we encourage you to check again as lots and lots is happening. So hopefully you can participate in more sessions. Well,
thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm not seeing any more questions. So again, just want to thank you, all of you, so much for your hard work, for sharing of this information, for partnering with us during National Indigenous Peoples Month. We truly appreciate it. It's so important to learn and see how we can, increase and retain the recruitment of our Indigenous workforce in all departments. And so, we're just thrilled for the work that you do and just wish you all the best as you continue and that we're here to continue to be your cousins nearby.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, hi.
Thank you.